Hello and welcome to Yin Yoga for our hips, for our sacroiliac joints, and for our lower back. And we're also going to get some shoulders in there because I believe that if you have nice even shoulders, then it's a little bit easier for the lower back and the SI joints to even out and ease out any discomfort in the lower back. So with no other explanation, you can read about it also below the text here, the video. We are going to just simply lay down into child's pose. So grab your yoga props that you have, or pillows or blankets that you might need, and let's come with big toes together and knees apart. Arms out to the side, and I like to hold the poses when we're doing yin yoga for about 20 breaths. That should equal about 3 minutes or so, and after a minute and a half it becomes a nice deep stretch for the fascia, connective tissues and tendons, and we are leaving the muscles out of the way as best as we can and just simply going in between the muscles towards the bones, fascia, connective tissues, tendons, and releasing any like unevenness that we might have within those sacs for the muscles. So enjoy, and child's pose, we'll stay here for another 15 breaths or so. And you might have a pillow for your head, you might have a block for your head. And it's nice to just relax down, laying down. Breathing into any of the tighter areas. Feeling shifts in the lower back already. Staying for another 10 breaths or so. Just letting the breath come and go, letting the hips really settle in, evenness, feeling. Maybe some spontaneous adjustments in towards the lower back. Maybe some feelings of openness in the lower back. And slowly making your way up onto all fours and arching your spine up, just widening and broadening the whole back side. And then from here, we're going to come on to the belly and start off with a shoulder stretch. Coming with your right arm out to the side. And then we're going to roll over onto the right side of the body. So coming over to the right hip, stacking your feet, taking your head down, or having a block for your head. Staying here for about 15 breaths or so. Doing our best to keep our hips even, feet stacked, so we're not pulling the sacrum opposite directions. You can bend your knees and stack your feet and knees on top of each other. You can take the left hand and arm and put behind your lower back.
Another 5 breaths here. And slowly making your way over to the front side, undoing the arm to the side and coming up onto all fours, and enjoying coming over onto your second side, coming onto the belly, coming with your left arm towards the back side of your body, either straight legs, one stacked on top of the other and supporting yourself, or bending the knees and stacking your feet, and maybe be able to relax a little bit more. Maybe you have your hand in the front, maybe you lay it behind you. And then we'll stay here for 20 breaths or so, and melting in towards the shoulder joint, towards the muscles, tendons around that left shoulder area, neck area, getting a nice broad stretch in towards the whole left side of the shoulder. And certainly putting pillow under your head if needed. Another 5 breaths here. And gently making your way out by untying yourself arm by arm and coming up onto all fours, and just arching the spine up to the sky, maybe taking a down dog if that's your thing, or just simply staying on all fours and moving about so it feels a little bit more even and new space. From here, we're going to step the right foot between the hands and take a block on each side of your foot, or an even size book, or you might even have a chair right in front of you, or like snugged in around your leg so you can support yourself. I'm going to flatten out the left toes back there, and you might have a blanket for your knee. I'm going to double up my blanket because my knee would be super happy if I did that. So left knee on the blanket, right foot between the blocks, and then we're just gonna lean on forward and coming into our first dragon pose. A really nice, yummy, passive low lunge stretch where we get to really just get into the deeper nitty-gritty layers of the hip flexor on the left side, and certainly it is felt all throughout the legs and all throughout the hips. Now, it's a good thing to go and find where you feel like you have your edge for the
pose, we have two different kinds. So we're starting off with a hand on each side of the foot. So we're having just like a nice even forward motion, sagittal plane, where we are doing our best to even out the sacrum, the hips, relaxing, coming into our edge, which should be about a 3 to 4 on a scale up to 10. So stay within a really nice, yummy comfort zone here, where we can stay for about 10 breaths, and then we're just gonna switch the mode a little bit and stay for another 10 breaths. These can get pretty intense, so make sure to back off at any time that's needed, and don't like overstretch it or get into a mode where you want to go deeper, but it might actually be better to just hang out where it feels somewhat comfortable and just let the pose work its magic from there. Full stretch in towards the whole left side of the hip, left iliopsoas group all the way from the inner edge of the left femur bone in towards the lower back, the lumbar spine on the whole left side of the spine. It's probably felt all the way through the upper legs and through the hips and the lower back. You might have your hands on each side of the foot on the floor. You might not use the blocks at all. Doing our best to be as passive as possible. Releasing the left hip flexor. That sometimes hip flexors causes unnecessary tension from being over tight from all the different things that we do, or maybe from things that we don't do. So now we do just that, to untie those knots. And slowly from here, we're going to just extend and move our hands to the inside of your right foot, moving the foot out to the side and coming into a winged dragon, where we get to open up the right foot and little toe side is on the floor. Forearms can come all the way down or on a block or standing straight up, whichever works for you. And we get to kind of drop the right knee out to the side and coming into a different stretch into the whole right side of the hip. Gets to be more involved. 10 breaths here. Another 3 breaths here. And gently making your way up from there and coming into a reclined dragon with either blocks on each side or hands on the floor. I'm going to use my blocks today, and I'm going to have my blocks over towards the foot, and the foot is in between, and the right heel is down, and then we're just going to drop over the right leg and
let that counter stretch to what we just did, and giving the right side a little pause, giving the right hamstring a little pause. There was a lot of pressure on it, and releasing in towards the right lower back. Ten more breaths here. Staying with the pose, staying with the breath, staying with the stretch. Letting the magic happen in the right hamstring group, in the seat and the lower back. And slowly making your way back up. And switching to the second side. You might take it down dog in between. That might feel good after those hip flexors on the left side and the hamstrings. Maybe doing a couple of waves of your choice, a couple of shoulder flosses. And then gently stepping your left foot between the blocks and putting your right knee on a comfortable spot. And we are moving onward with dragon pose on our second side. So from here, we are going to take that right knee down and flatten out the toes in the back and just lean forward. And the left knee is slightly in front of the ankle, and we're making our way into our dragon first take on our left side. Finding a comfortable spot, about a 3 or a 4 or less on a scale up to 10. Some place where you can stay for your 10 full breaths before we change the direction a little bit on the left foot. Relaxing into the neck. Breathing into any of the tight areas. Your head can be upright or you can hang down, whichever works for you. And then we'll do our best to be as still as we can. Three more breaths here. And gently extend and take your left foot out to the side and your hands onto either the floor or onto blocks, however you like to. Turn your left foot out, open up your left foot and let your left knee tilt over to the side, winged dragon, so the left knee kind of looks like a nice little wing with a whole leg on your body. From there, we're going to lean forward and take it in towards the rotators on the left side and getting a little different feeling in our low lunge variant. Full hip release mode. Staying nice and relaxed as much as we can and letting the pose work its magic in the hip area, right hip flexor, right quad. Another 3 breaths here. Nice deep breaths. And gently making your way up and extending your left leg forward and coming into reclining dragon. I'm going to use my blocks and I'm going to put them over by the foot, not to pull the shoulders too far, and either just flexing the foot slightly and then letting it relax. And here we are. Brace yourself for your comfort zone where it is. Bend maybe straight elbows, maybe bending them, maybe taking the blocks a little bit more forward. Folding forward, releasing. Feeling this nice extension in the whole sacral lower back region. Really opening up the back side. Relaxing the toes, relaxing ankles. Relaxing knees as much as we can. Another 7 breaths here or so. And another breath, and then slowly making your way out from here. Putting your blocks to the side. And either come to all fours or take a downward facing dog. Pedal out into the knees. And then from here, we're going to come down and we are going to make our way into our one-legged horseshoe pose. So you can take the blanket to the side. You can just kind of bring that over. If you had a blanket, we don't need it right now. You might need to and want to stuff it underneath your hips. So we are sitting forward with our legs, and then from here, let's take the right leg to the back and tuck your right leg all the way back. And actually, I want to take the left leg back. I'm switching my mind. Let's take the left leg back because that's the one that we stretched first in our dragon pose for the hip flexor area. So we'll go back to the left hip flexor quad area. We tuck the leg back so we have the foot towards the hip socket, and we're going to come all the way down onto the forearms. Or we might sit upright, or you might have propped pillows underneath you. This is an excellent way to align in towards the hips and lower back and sacral region. It really has a nice way of just really flipping a really tensed and achy and painy sacral plate. So here we are in a half horseshoe. So I'm here on my forearms, but there are so many variations here. You can have pillows underneath you and lay down on and make it comfortable. I'm going to prop a block underneath my shoulder blades and one for my head. So see what works for you. Or you can lay all the way flat down. So take one that floats your body the best and that you feel the most release in. We have about another 15 breaths here or so. A nice way to breathe into the heart center and towards the lungs. Shoulders are open. There's a nice smile from shoulder to shoulder. Whether you are on a pillow or blocks, or if you decided to lay flat down or on your forearms. We should be within a 3 to 4 on our hip flexor area, on our hip area. So adjust accordingly where it feels like you are getting a perfect and nice elongation. We have about another 7 breaths or so here. Enjoying just being, finding a nice place for the hips to just relax and release. And gently deepening your breath and bringing your arms in, supporting yourself, and coming up and switching to the second side. Maybe moving the left knee around a little bit, moving the ankle, take your right leg and pull it towards the back and find a way to recline back. Maybe we're sitting here. Maybe this is where we're at for the quad, and just easing our way into a hip flexor stretch, yin yoga style. Hero's pose in yoga, virasana, or half horseshoe. Has many names, this pose. Arms out to the side. Make it comfortable as you can. Prop blankets underneath ankles or knees if needed. Just letting all the layers relax. Letting places open up that maybe wasn't open before, for some more transportation of nutrients and minerals and vitamins to vital places in the right side of the hip and the whole leg. Another 5 breaths here. And gently start to make your way up and out from this pose, and you can keep the blocks if you might use them for the next up is a full horseshoe, but I wanted to take a down dog in between, or just maybe up on all fours and stretching your right leg, left leg back, or taking yourself into a down dog mode. Pressing your palms, lifting upper arm bones, just kind of pedaling it out a little bit before we make our way into our final horseshoe variation and a deeper release for the hip flexors and a nice turn for our SI joints, sacral region. So from here, come onto your knees, take your feet to the side, and I like to just kind of massage my calves out a little bit to the side, and the knees are forward, they're just slightly hip widths apart, and then I like to just lift my seat a little bit, come down onto the forearms, and maybe we are here onto the forearms, maybe we're sitting up, supporting ourselves on the hands, whichever works, but maybe this is it, and maybe we'll relax here for about 20 breaths. Maybe we come down onto our pillows or our blocks, or maybe we come down onto the back, shoulder blades, take the arms over the head, find the elbows, keep those knees forward, and then getting as comfortable and passive as we can here. Letting the breath go into different places, lifting any stagnation off, breathing. This is pretty intense pose. Whichever version that you're choosing of it, it is intense, whether you're sitting up or if you're laying down or anywhere in between. So we have about 10 more breaths here. Lifting the lower belly just by laying down, giving the digestive organs a nice lift and cleanse as well. Letting that breath find all places, lifting off any stagnation and exhaling it out. Another 5 breaths here. And slowly start to move about and make your way out by taking your hands to your feet and lifting your head and making your way back up. And from here, coming up onto all fours again. Stretching your right leg back, getting some blood through the knee, ankle, moving back and forth, and the left side. And we're going to come from all fours into down dog, into feet wide apart. So we will take in one more standing pose. And then stepping one foot between the hands and supporting yourself with blocks or hands on the floor. And enjoy just a nice forward fold here with your hands forward, with your toes slightly in, heels slightly out, lifting sacrum, bending in towards the knees. And then from here, we're going to come and walk the feet together. And feet hip widths apart, knees down. And we're going to come and take a seat and let the sacrum just really steady and the hips just find a nice new steady place to support us from. I'm going to sit on a block, maybe you will too. And coming back to a neck stretch, different way over here by just taking the hands into the lap and dropping your head over towards the left side, so the left ear towards the left shoulder, and we're sitting nice and even on the sit bones and just letting the hips really just simmer out in a nice even way before we lay down for Savasana. Taking the head over, relaxing, breathing. There's no pulling on the shoulders, they are just right there. Just kind of checking in so that they feel even. Relaxing the layers. And the breath come and go evenly through all parts. And gently taking your left hand on the left side of the head and helping your head all the way up and moving it over to the second side. Just letting your hands relax. Enjoying just tipping the right ear towards the right shoulder. Sitting nice and even on the sit bones, upright. Another 5 breaths here. And gently taking the right hand to the right side of the head
and sitting upright, helping the head upright. And I hope you feel a nice clear sensation in the spine and in the hips and the lower back, down the legs. We are going to come into upward facing child's pose and then a Savasana. You can always put a pillow under your head if that feels good for your spine. So we're just going to come all the way down, bring the knees into the chest and make a little hug around the knees. Knees can come apart, feet can be together, big toes, or we're just going to relax in towards the arms. I just want to stay here for 10 breaths before we extend out into Savasana, resting pose. Letting the whole sacral plate even out from all the three little pointy parts, and letting it just kind of relax down and have a nice connection to the whole lumbar region. Letting the femurs plug in. And slowly from here, making your way down with the feet to the mat and extending out to your Shavasana and laying nice and flat on the back and letting all of those poses integrate into its new place. You should feel nice and open right here at the hip flexor, lower belly area. And I encourage you to stay here until you feel all nice and saturated and rejuvenated into all parts of the body. I'm going to bring in my crystal bowl and saturate with some tunes and tones into the body while you enjoy your Shavasana. Staying in your Shavasana, just enjoying the tones, closing up your practice with a crystal bowl. the layers, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Namaste.